People are excessively sharing the information that meatballs on the market were made from rat meat, sewer rat. Do you believe this? Research now says that eating grapefruits can cause cancer in women. Do you believe this? Do you believe that you can make a comprehensive test about your health status with just one single drop of blood? Many people did.
Before we start, let's check whether you fully understand the term fake news or not.
There are several ways for you to define, but you can simply understand that fake news is the news or stories which are obviously not true and expressed as objective fact. It could be made up or it could be based on the facts but partially distorted. The content of the news is used to misinform or deceive the audience, and it is mostly used for financial or political purpose besides some others, such as entertainment. There are 10 types of misleading news with different damaging impacts. Error, satire, sponsor content, clickbait, propaganda, partisan, conspiracy, theory, pseudoscience, misinformation, bogus. In 2018, after collecting data on Twitter, a data scientist at MIT in Cambridge published a 12-year research which indicated that fake news spread 10 times faster than objective truth. In November 2019, an article of the newspaper The Conversation has shown 3 possible insights that how fake news might impact us. Firstly, it grabs our attention, and the novelty is the main factor. Secondly, it creates false memory. In other words, the information which emotionally influences us might stand a higher chance of being memorized in our brains. The most important thing is that it appeals to our emotion.
And now, let's get to case analysis. Case number 1, sewer rats. In 2016, there was actually a widely shared information about using sewer rats' meat to make unqualified meatballs on Facebook. Over 23,000 of likes, 126,000 of shares. People were angry and scared in the comment section. Let's examine the case in detail to see if there could be anything wrong with it. Firstly, the language used in the post was quite problematic. It goes, according to a reliable source, sewer rats were caught by a professional team, blah blah blah. Wait, what source? The author did not present anything related to the source. Plus, this post was copied from another post, said the user who posted it. What? How can we check if it was true or false without any tool? Secondly, it has no evidence. Quote, sewer rats were caught near the hospital in populated area in the city by a professional team. Then they were processed into meatballs and finally delivered to restaurant and food companies. Unquote. How did he know what he knows? Which team that was caught doing all of these? Which food company? Which restaurant? Has the authority investigated yet? All that he can provide were very low quality, unrelated photos. These photos could be considered fake because if you search for them online using the Google Chrome tour, these photos exist somewhere else, not Vietnam.
Case 2. Grapefruits versus cancer. In 2007, 4 trustworthy newspapers republished an American-based research that said grapefruit could cause cancer. However, when translated into Vietnamese, grapefruit became synonymous with pomelo, the more common fruit in Vietnam, which allegedly cost hundreds of millions dong for farmers. However, a man later posted on another popular newspaper that this was not true. There are several things to consider in this case. Firstly, the sources that republished were well-established, well-known official newspapers. However, there must have been mistakes in translation and editing process that made possible for this misunderstanding, especially to those who could not access the original research in English. Secondly, the loss was focused on the poor farmers, which got the audience to identify with immediately, and what's more, the farmers' population is too large for one to verify. In cases with conflicting news reports, where one source is reliable and the other lesser known, people might easily be sold to the former.
However, in this case, both sides are from very well-known popular newspapers, so telling which one is fake news might be even much more trickier.
In 2017, people found out that Theranos, a biotechnology company in the US, had made false statements about the company's technology, business, and financial performances for years to raise more than 700 million USD. This massive fraud caused huge frustration as well as severe economic and social consequences. How did they do that? First, the company CEO, Elizabeth Holmes, often used her charisma and persuasiveness to reassure people's doubts and concern about the product. Secondly, Holmes and her team exploited the investors and the public's shallow knowledge of biotechnology to use devices that already exist in the market instead of using their own products to fake the results of nearly 1 million tests. Thirdly, when being interviewed, they got away from questions on the core technique of Theranos by either using confusing and slippery technical language or saying that it is a trade secret. Finally, the product status was forbidden to be known by the employees. They were allowed to communicate with no other department except for the one they are in charge of.
Fake news may seem scary, but don't worry, we are here to support you. Let's try these tips to have a healthy reading time. First, verify the source. With some particular news, it is necessary to know where it comes from. We need to evaluate news source and be able to not believe everything we read on social media or digital news sites. Second, be aware of our bias. Our bias is very dangerous. Many research have shown that people will see the information consistent with their previous belief as more persuasive and are inclined to accept information that pleases them. Therefore, it's good if you can try to look through as many perspectives as you can if the information you get is controversial. Third, it's good to have some skepticism in our mind. Not everything we read is true, and many online sites specialize in false news. Learning how to judge news sites and protect oneself from inaccurate information is a high priority in the digital age. Please keep in mind that the fight against fake news will never be over. However, we hope that this video has made fake news become less problematic for yourself. Good luck with your reading time!